It's really exciting to be here. First time in Brighton, first time here at UX Brighton. Yeah, my name is Oleksii. I want to talk about what design teams experience nowadays, how you can navigate the changing landscape of your job, how your responsibilities change, and how you can find yourself in very, very different situations, as Danny mentioned. But first, quickly, a bit about me. I'm a senior content designer, currently working in travel and expense spending. So basically, in that company that I'm at now, I'm leading AI tooling projects, which is related to different kind of content creation related tools. And I'm also doing some teaching, mentoring on the side, and some volunteering. The company I'm at now is Perk, which is a funny story because, yeah, we're doing business travel, expenses, everything in one thing. And the funny story is that when I was pitching my idea, I was still in a company called Travel Perk. And then 3 days ago, we became Perk because now we're not only handling travel, but also doing our expenses and everything after that. So, okay, before that, I was at Klarna, and that was my sort of first experience working in fintech, and also first experience working in a company that was scaling and growing quite fast. Klarna is a buy now, pay later product, maybe some of you don't know, which basically allows you to pay in 30 days or pay in several installments and so on. That was my first company where I actually saw the product in the wild, stuff like that, and I still see and kind of smile about that. That's a very nice feeling as a designer. Stuff that I've been doing at Klarna was related to systematizing different kind of content and how we approach design and content patterns, which is one of the examples here is we had like 100 of different templates related to your transactional communications. And my job was to make sure that we have one dynamic template that can dynamically find the necessary situation related to your UX journey and give you the exact email or push notification that you need. Besides Klarna and Perk, I also did a few courses in a Ukrainian-based school. I'm from Ukraine originally. I had numbers of students learning content design and UX writing. I also have a course on UXL, and yeah, my volunteering part is around Code Your Future initiative, where I'm being a career mentor, helping people get into tech and successfully pass interviews and stuff like that. What is my experience with AI generally? Klarna, as Danny mentioned, was one of those companies who were first to go fully all in to really, really embrace the AI and find all the possible ways to use it in our workflows. So I saw overnight how some teams' workflows, positions were eliminated. That was quite dramatic. I decided at some point that I need to leave and go to the company where I will enjoy it more as a balance, more a healthier balance between AI and design. And I ended up actually working in a company where I work on AI even more now. But no worries for that later. The tension goes beyond work, actually, because besides doing design, I'm also doing street photography, some of my works. And you might imagine that as a person trying to catch a perfect moment, I'm not truly inspired by the idea of generating something that has never happened. So we have some sort of tension beside work with AI. So what AI did to our industry is, I think, can be called a productivity shock, when some technology gives you a chance to achieve more with less or with the same amount of workforce that you have and effort. And because of that, we've got some productivity gains, right? So these productivity gains, companies looked at that and they were like, what do we do with those? Like, we have some options there. And here I'd like to reference actually a coin as well as Avi did, but in a bit of a different way. So coin has two sides. And today, for the sake of this presentation, we will assign two realities to these coins. The first reality will be cutting costs. And another reality will be increasing the impact that you have within your scope of work. So yeah, let's flip a coin and see where we land. We land at Klarna. You might have seen many case studies and press releases and different articles around this, so it's really not a secret. Once ChatGPT became something more tangible than just funny and silly, interesting thing, right away our CEO told Sam Altman that he wants to be, like, Klarna to be a guinea pig of OpenAI. We want to try it everywhere, and as a result, OpenAI had this amazing case study that Klarna substituted 700 full-time jobs related to customer service agents with the chatbot. Yeah, that was very, very surprising. Did not see that coming at all. And because of that, you might see many reports saying that the revenue per one employee is really growing insanely fast. Yeah, that's why. As a design team, we basically divided to product design, research, content design, design ops, which is, by the way, I want to take a pause and ask, do we have any content designers or UX writers here today? We have some. Oh, we have more than I expected. Nice, very good. Thank you so much for representing us here. Yeah, so as you see, this really sad arrows means that the numbers of people in those teams were affected. We were shrinking, and we were trying to be more efficient with what we can do. Therefore, I would call it that we were not really harnessing AI and like using AI. We were trying to survive this, really. And one of the later examples after I left the company was that there were news about Klarna CEO vibe coding cool things and then going to engineers and asking if we can make it happen. So let's imagine the coin landed and you are at a company like this. You in the first reality of cut costing. What do you do then? For each playbook, I want to show you the signals, what to watch out for to understand in which reality you are. Then what are the risks of what can happen to you or within the design discipline. And then what can be a strategy for you to go through this and, I don't know, successfully go through this, flourish actually, and achieve something. So the signals are my favorite part because it's very noticeable, really. The first thing is that the leadership is at some point becoming no longer design leadership. You might see people substituting this position by taking someone from a, let's say, product background, but this person is very efficient, but we will put it on design and we will be efficient there as well. So there will be some sort of substitution like this. Another thing is that the teams are structured. Of course, the idea is that the leaner the better, and we're keeping only the best people ever. There are frequent processes of reviews, how you work, and like walkthroughs. Teams are showing what they're doing and basically helping leadership understand where we can make it more efficient, so to say. So efficiency and automation really become the cornerstone of any conversation, any chat, any all hands. And of course, teams' budgets shrink, hiring is freezed or something like that, or like at least way lower. And AI projects are really passed down, top down to you. And you need, as a designer and as a design team, to prove that you can adapt and you can scale everything within the product using AI project ideas from top. All the success metrics, usually, or most of them, are around how much money is saved and not really focusing on the user experience. I think you might hear some things like, well, the user experience is genuinely becoming better because AI is making it much, much better and smoother. Cool. My favorite one, though, is this. Private Slack channels with C-level people in different kind of competences inside, randomly created for different projects to chat about AI projects. And basically it looks like this, where you're like listening to ideas and you're like, ooh, really cool, let's try this out. It's all over the place, and sometimes the channel would become unprivated and you're quite surprised with what was discussed there. So the risks there are that the strategy work is going away sort of from you. You're really focusing on how you are executing the ideas that come in from top. So you're more like supporting. Many times, it depends really. I'm not saying that every product team is doing that, but sometimes if the product side or engineering side or someone else is agreeing to all those rules and go along with this, it means that designers will be seen as blockers, and it will be expected that you either do it faster and adapt, and if you don't like it, really no time to chat, sorry. Go chat to ChatGPT. Teams slip into defensive mode, which I've seen, and it was quite sad because when you go to defensive mode, you don't have really any room of flexibility, how you can navigate this like tight constraints of the team being adopting the AI and embracing the AI. Not a great strategy, cannot recommend that. Just purely being defensive and saying that's not gonna work, it's not good for the user. Yes, it's true, but you cannot just keep this as an unmovable thing that you truly believe in. Like, keep it to yourself, yeah. But then if you come with this idea, you need to provide some sort of documentation highlighting what would be the impact and why you are against some sort of AI initiative. Of course, morale and craft, they erode. It's not really very fun. So the strategies of how we navigated this as a content design team and some parts of the design team did a similar thing. So I can sort of speak for the whole design competence there. And something that some teams outside of design competence did not do. And in my opinion, yeah, sort of we paid a much different price for what we did, was focusing on picking one project and on all the projects that are visible from and coming from the leadership that they're like really focused on and interested in. And then while working on it, not saying like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. No, work on it, but try to bake like quality that is important for the user and will genuinely improve something that you try to improve for a long time, right into it. And I will give you an example of what we did. So once you have that like win, you can earn space and place to talk about how, yes, let's use AI, let's be more efficient and so on, but let's use it smartly and let's make sure that we also prioritize the user experience for the end user. So once you earn the space, basically you are influencing how the next phase of your company's growth with AI is going to happen. So we are sort of trying to sneak into the last train carriage to actually shape how we will be working going forward. And it's not always super exciting because sometimes to bake this quality into it, you will need to work on something you maybe don't like or a project you don't truly believe in. But that's, you gotta play the hand you dealt. What we did, and that's from the content design team example that we had, we knew that our leadership is super excited about using AI for translations. They were like talking about it all the time. Let's see what we can do with the localization team. Maybe AI just can handle that. So we agreed that we will be looking into creating a tool that will be automating like the localization for most of the markets. But we did it on our terms, which means besides essential feature that was requested, which is a successful translation for many markets, we also worked on several things that we threw in and that we needed for a long time. So Klarna struggled for a long time with the terminology. On different markets and in even different screens and some flows, it was impossible to track. People called our payment options, payment methods very differently. Like sometimes it's pay in four, sometimes someone is saying that pay in parts, cut the cost, and so on. And we really struggled to align that for a long time. So we decided that, okay, if we are doing the translation tool, we need a controlled vocabulary where we have all the well-defined terminology translated for key markets, and then AI tool will use it. So we did a research on that. We landed on the proper terminology that our users understand and like, and we added it into this project. Another thing is that we created a tool, but we also said, yes, the tool itself is fine, but we need to create a guideline on, first of all, there are several markets that are quite tricky, like German or Asian markets. We need to create separate playbooks, like guidelines on how to use it cautiously, because AI tool was still not great in German and like those tricky markets. And with that, we also defined how it's used, when it's used, who is using that. As long as you document things clearly and in the documentation mention why it's so important, people actually go along with that. And that's what we saw. Our leadership looked at us, so like, okay, that's cool. We can listen to you now. So what can start as survival for you can actually become shaping the next phase, like the next version of what your work will be. You just need to understand that survival part, I know that many people, including me, might feel very, I won't say embarrassed or ashamed, but it's kind of embarrassing because you are sort of not entirely happy with what you're doing as a designer, and you think like you have very strong feelings and passionate designer. But you need to understand that sometimes you need to negotiate this thing through making something you don't truly fully like, but that's a chance for you to later improve how your company operates with AI. And my favorite part of the first reality is this amazing piece of news. The Klarna is hiring back, and not just hiring back, but hiring back customer service agents. Love to see that, to be honest. I love customer service people. It's time to flip a coin one more time. And, oh no, we landed again, sorry. Coin. Reality number 2 is increasing impact. So I left Klarna and I was like, let's go. I think I found the right company. I like it. It's like I had great interviews. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the approach that Perk had. Let's go. What's really different about this reality? Because Travel Perk still used AI, and it was obvious that when I was joining, they already explored how AI can be used efficiently. But the main difference is that we are still seen by the leadership as the owners of how the AI is shaped, like the usage of AI, like what tools we need and want to develop, what kind of solutions for the users we see being developed with AI. And essentially it means that we are trusted that we will find the best cases for AI applications. So our leadership is like, we will give you the tools, we will pay for this thing, we will pay for this thing, just like, document why you need this, what you'll be doing with this, and please experiment. And that's why, for instance, we had like a really great design hackathon thing, whereas like for 2 days almost, we were working on different AI application, which was free-form thing, like do whatever you want, just show us something fun. Super enjoyable thing, by the way, can definitely recommend, because it kind of changed my mind on some AI things. Our expertise is retaining the trust. So leadership still thinks that we are the last person making a decision in terms of AI. So the strategic level work is always around us. And it's more about how we can increase the impact, how we can be more impactful for both user and the business with AI, and not seen as how can we use this amazing tool so that we will never see Oleksii again on this meeting because he has too many questions. What do we do in this reality? Kind of sounds like a great reality, to be fair. So you might say like, well, just leave it. Not really. You still have to be slightly careful. It's something that you need to look out for. So the signals, and just to understand if you're in this reality and how you can recognize that, is that PMs and engineers, by the way, it's really great to see engineers and PMs here. I love you guys. You usually see them starting experimenting with AI, which is cool because they can ship some things faster, which is good for everyone. And your main task, I think, is to not go around and say that we should stop this, or let's say, do not give this PM to use Lovable or something to prototype. Not really. You just need to enter the conversation with those PMs or those engineers using that, and be a part of this conversation. And you can together set up how you can use the AI tool or the classic design approach for something. Small experiments are happening everywhere, and the main difference is that while the borders of competences are moving, some engineer might do something design related on production to fix some visual things, or some content designer can step in and in code change some of the issues of the, let's say, inconsistent capitalization, which happens in every company I work in. Nobody cares if it's title case, sentence case, it's just case. And yeah, you have way more freedom in risk taking. Basically, the company says risk, but evaluate whether this risk is going to be a huge bad impact on the user if it goes wrong or not. If it's not really high risk, yes, sure, just go ahead as a PM or engineer and ship something, document it, and if anything happens, really, we can roll back, as long as it's not nobody can fly anymore in Germany for business. That would not be fun. The hiring numbers might change, but not really dramatically. It might change in terms of what kind of seniority levels are hired, or how many people are hired, but not we no longer hire, or we freeze the hiring. The risks of being in this pretty good, actually, reality is that because of the experiments and people trying to push changes to production, you might have inconsistent UX quality. It means that designers lose real oversight of what's happening on production, and it's really sort of you can neglect the long-term, sorry about that, vision of what designers really do, because you might be going to the code too much, and then as a designer you're sort of defining how within your company the designers will be seen, which is, yeah, be careful about that, because you need to understand, you sort of define how the designers will be working going forward. Maybe not everyone likes working with code or something like that. So also another thing is overlooking how decisions affect other teams, which is key thing, and that's something we talked a lot at Perk, is we are allowed to make changes in code, but we need to first establish what is allowed, and we need to make sure that the engineers are not too stressed about this, and we don't want to stress them. But also, if they are making changes to something visual, like we would love to know about that as well. So yeah, the strategy will be not shying away from all these experiments. Yes, it sometimes is risky, but as long as you document things and you have a green light to experiment, it's absolutely fine. I think we need to accept that we are in reality where many things will break because of companies trying to implement AI things. And I think even the users sometimes are quite ready for that. You need to define sort of like a tiered level system of the design support for the teams. And I think that's key because if there are things that PMs or engineers can do, what are those things? What are those projects and how you identify those projects? So let's say there will be a project tier 1, which is getting no design support or only getting like a triage support where you can go to designer as an engineer and ask like, do you think it's fine or not? And there might be will be still the last tier, which is like strategic full support with full discovery and everything. Designer is in place, content designer is in place, everyone is there. Be curious, but really back to the point about the working with engineers, respect the boundaries of other competences, because we've seen cases where it's like we're pushing the change to production, but then it's just too big and too much, and there should be some line somewhere where you can experiment and try, but you shouldn't be going over that line too much into the code base because you're still not an engineer. And yeah, running regular audits is an important thing, and what we do quarterly, it will help you catch those failed experiments and something that changed for the user. So how does it look in practice? Basically, as I mentioned, working with engineers, designers can unblock some small UI fixes that are for a long time in the backlog. Which is something like this. It's a minor thing, but for consistency, we really didn't like how on the left, how it's visually, how the hierarchy is working. And then our staff designer just went in, learned how to use Copilot and other things, and made this. And I love it because this was in backlog for ages because it's not really breaking your experience, but it's not ideal. Developing some in-house AI tools for content. That's for my team, right? AI tools can support PMs or like engineers on a really ad hoc small thing where we need to change one line of copy that is really seen by, 50 users per day or maybe per week. They can use that tool while we will be focusing on a more strategic level of support, high impact work. And luckily, as a travel company, an expense company, so it's finance, it's travel, there are so many changes and problems with the user's journey, not like user experience, but actual like failed flight, canceled flight, failed checkout and stuff like that. You will need to focus on a lot of strategic stuff. So last one is tricky, but very interesting. It's using AI to solve UX problems and not pass them to users. For a while now, we had a problem that was passed, unfortunately, to users, and I'm ashamed to show this, but I have to. So a traveler books a hotel, and there is a point where they need to check into this hotel. The relationship with hotel from our side is that we create a prepaid virtual card, and then the hotel has to charge it before the stay. And hotel sometimes doesn't care. They don't do this. What we do instead, we send you the copy of the virtual card saying you might be asked this, so just show this. It creates a lot of trouble, unfortunately, for the users. And the problem is that it's not between traveler and hotel, really. It's between us and the hotel, and we need to fix this. So what we used AI for, and that's actually my favorite application, because first of all, this project was really complex for me in terms of communication. And I was really, I felt blessed to see that AI is used here. So the card is created and hotel needs to charge it. Hotel does not charge it before, like a few days before the user checks in. Then AI bot calls the hotel and asks them to charge it. And we've seen quite positive responses from hotel staff, which from really not even noticing it's AI to a person saying, wait a second, am I talking to AI? And AI is like, yeah. And it's like, wow, that's really cool. I love talking to AI instead of people. It's way easier. Not even joking, like I heard it and it's hard to believe, but I was like, cool, like I need this hotel stuff everywhere. So yeah, back to our coin and our reality references. So basically we need to understand that AI will keep flipping the coin for us, or maybe even different technology. But the result is that we just need to be ready, whichever side it lands up, and also not to try and stop it. It's definitely gonna be flipped for you. Like the reason why I showed the same one several times was also a purpose, like for you to understand sometimes you will land in the same type of company twice in a row, unfortunately, because even if you don't like it, because it's really not that easy to understand from the interview process how they use AI. So my last thing for you today as a takeaway is start tomorrow. Find your reality using the signals and start joining the conversations around AI. Do not hide from it. How you can not only apply it on the business side, but what can be there for the user and from the user experience side, and what you can bake in to sort of protect the user from different kind of AI bullshit. And leave your fingerprint, which means it should be documented and it would be obvious that you are the designer that made the difference on this project, not only to be efficient for business, but for the user. But actually, don't start tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. So start on Monday. Enjoy your weekend before that. I really enjoyed talking to you today. Thank you so much.